Did you know that on average, a person will purchase around 7 to 8 cars in their lifetime? Some popular car websites have found that people own around 7 cars on average throughout their lifetime. We know what you're thinking. And yes, that's so many. So if that is true, then a lot of car buying decisions to make. So it's essential to be informed about car specifications. So in this video, we will discuss some of the most important car specs you should know before making a purchase. Let's start with vehicle dimensions, starting with length of the vehicle. The length of the car is straightforward to calculate. It is the measurement of a vehicle from the front tip to the rear. It is commonly denoted in millimeters. The length of the car majorly affects the handling and stability. It can also impact the amount of interior and trunk space available. As the length increases, the car's straight-line stability goes up, but the cornering agility decreases. One simple rule to assist while buying a car is that if you employ the car to commute within the city, mostly buy a smaller car. This can facilitate your getting parking with ease and is less complicated to manage than a much bigger vehicle. Width. Another important dimension to consider is the width of a car. The width of a car is comparable to the length, but calculates how wide the vehicle is excluding the mirrors. The car side mirrors are folded or omitted when this measurement is taken. The width of a car can affect the car's stability on the road and can also impact the amount of space available in the cabin. More width does translate to more cabin room and more comfortable seating, especially for the rear passengers. Height. The car's height is measured from its lowest point, where the tires touch the road, to the tallest point on its roof. SUVs are generally higher vehicles compared to sedans or hatchbacks. Also, higher cars typically have better headroom for occupants, leaving aside the headroom. The car's height directly affects the car's handling. A taller car will have a higher center of gravity, lesser downforce, and will experience more body roll. Due to this, a taller car will feel very unsettled when pushed through corners. This is why all sports cars have low-slung body constructions, making them agile through turns. A taller car may have more ground clearance, making it better suited for off-road driving or uneven roads. Wheelbase. The wheelbase is defined as the distance between the centers of the car's front wheel and rear wheel. Usually, a longer wheelbase means a longer vehicle cabin, which means more interior room for passengers and cargo. A longer wheelbase generally provides more stability as it increases the distance between the front and rear axles. This reduces the amount of weight that the front wheels must bear and helps to prevent the car from tipping over in sharp turns. Longer wheelbases also tend to provide a smoother ride as the distance between the axles allows for more suspension travel and reduces the amount of road vibrations that are transmitted to the cabin. Turning radius is defined as the smallest diameter semicircle that is required to be made by the car to make a complete U-turn. It is measured from the center of the front wheel to the outermost point of the car, such as the outside edge of the rear wheel. The physical dimensions of a car, such as its length, width, and wheelbase, play a significant role in determining the turning radius. Cars with shorter lengths and narrower widths typically have smaller turning radii, while cars with longer lengths and wider widths typically have larger turning radii. The turning radius is an important factor in determining a car's maneuverability and is particularly important for city driving or tight parking spaces. Cars with a smaller turning radius will always be easier to navigate in tight traffic. On the other hand, cars with a bigger turning radius will feel bulkier in tight traffic as they will require more space to complete any maneuver. Additionally, the tire size and type can also affect the dual turning radius. Larger tires will have a larger turning radius than smaller tires because of their contact patch with the road. Boot space. The boot space defines the luggage storage capacity in the car's boot. It's usually measured in liters. A 300-liter boot is average for a small car, so you could think of that as a starting point. A larger SUV might have a boot space of 600 liters or more. Boot space is an important factor to consider when purchasing a vehicle, especially for those who frequently travel or have a lot of cargo to carry. If your car is equipped with split rear seats, the boot space expands exponentially. This feature is very common amongst hatchbacks and five-seater SUVs to expand their luggage storing capabilities. Since they don't have a dedicated boot area, ground clearance is the least distance between the lower end of the vehicle body and the road. It is measured in millimeters or inches. A car with a higher ground clearance will have more space between the bottom of the car and the ground, which can make it better suited for rough terrain and uneven surfaces. Naturally, when you have more room between the ground surface and your car underbody, you will be able to tackle bigger obstacles without hitting the base of your car. Ground clearance can also affect the car's aerodynamics and fuel efficiency. Cars with higher ground clearance will have more air resistance and drag, which can reduce fuel efficiency. On the other hand, cars with lower ground clearance will have less air resistance and drag, which can improve fuel efficiency. Additionally, ground clearance can also affect the car's handling and stability. Cars with higher ground clearance will have a higher center of gravity, which can make them more prone to rollover in the event of a sudden turn or maneuver. Cars with lower ground clearance will have a lower center of gravity, making them more stable and easier to handle. Curb weight, also known as unladen weight, is the weight of the vehicle, including a full tank of fuel and all standard equipment. It does not include the weight of passengers, cargo, or optional equipment. Curb weight is considered the closest weight to the vehicle's actual weight. This includes the weight of the vehicle's body, engine, transmission, suspension, wheels, tires, and any other standard equipment. Curb weight is an important specification for a car because it is used to calculate the vehicle's payload and towing capacity. Also, curb weight is a significant factor in fuel economy, along with the car's engine efficiency, wind resistance, and so forth. Now let's move on to the next car specification. Terms related to the heart of your vehicle, which is the engine. The engine is like the heart of the car. This is what makes a car, creating power to drive it forward. An engine is a machine that converts fuel into energy, which is used to power the car and make it move. As you shop for a vehicle, you'll see 4 types of engines. Gasoline, which runs on petrol; diesel, which is powered by diesel battery, which is powered by electric; and hybrid is using a combination of a fuel-driven engine and an electric one. Number of cylinders, this refers to the number of combustion chambers present inside the engine. The majority are either 3-cylinder or 4-cylinder engines. 4-cylinder engines are smoother, has better performance, and usually cost more. 3-cylinder engines are more fuel efficient and have lower running costs. 4-cylinder engines have better balance than 3-cylinder engines. The extra cylinder helps to smooth out the power delivery and reduce vibration, making for a more refined driving experience. 4-cylinder engines are generally considered more versatile and suitable for a wide range of vehicles and driving conditions. Why offer a good balance of power, fuel efficiency, and affordability? They are also more reliable and have a longer lifespan than 3-cylinder engines. Engine size refers to the total volume of the engine's cylinders. Car engine sizes are generally specified in cubic capacity or in liters. For example, a car with a 1000 ccs engine would be described as a 1 liter. Also, they are rounded up to the nearest tenth of a liter. For example, a car with a 1,390 ccs engine would be described as a 1.4 liter. If a car is described as a 2 liter with 4-cylinder engine, this means the engine's combustion chambers allow roughly 2,000 cubic centimeters, i.e., 2 liters of fuel and air to be burnt. This means that every piston in the engine can burn approximately 500 cubic centimeters of fuel and air. Engine size is an important specification for a car because it is a general indicator of the engine's power and performance. Larger engines generally have more power and acceleration, but may also have lower fuel efficiency. Smaller engines tend to have less power and acceleration, but are typically more fuel efficient. The size of the engine can also influence the design of the car, as a larger engine may require more space, which can affect the car's overall dimensions and weight. Petrol engines are divided into 4 groups: under 1 liter, 1, 2 liter, 2, 3 liters, and 3. Engines of 1 liter or less usually feature 3 or 4 cylinders, with many using turbochargers for an extra boost. A larger engine, for example 2 and 3 liters, are primarily found in bigger saloons, estate cars, and SUVs, and typically has power in the range of 200 to 300 horsepower. A more powerful engine can accelerate quicker and reach higher speeds. However, more fuel will need to be pumped into its cylinders in order to create this power, which can make them less eco-friendly. The amount of power an engine produces can be established by looking at the horsepower, also referred to as brake horsepower. Fuel injection is a system in a car's engine that delivers fuel to the combustion chamber. The purpose of fuel injection is to provide the correct amount of fuel to the engine and at the right time and amount to ensure optimal engine performance and efficiency. This can result in better fuel economy and lower emissions. There are several types of fuel injection systems used in cars, including throttle body fuel injection, multi-point fuel injection, direct fuel injection, or port fuel injection. Your car's transmission, or gearbox as it is commonly known, is one of the most important components in the engine. The gearbox is of 2 primary, automatic and manual. With the speed number of the gearbox denotes the number of gears available to shift into. For example, a 5-speed gearbox means the car has 5 gears. The choice between a 5-speed transmission and a 6-speed transmission in a new car depends on your personal preferences and driving needs. In general, a 6-speed transmission provides more flexibility in terms of gear ratios, allowing for a better balance between performance and fuel efficiency. However, a 5-speed transmission can be more straightforward and easier to use with fewer gears to shift through, making it a good choice for city driving or for those who aren't as experienced with manual transmissions. In the context of a car, horsepower refers to the amount of power the engine can produce, which is used to turn the wheels and propel the vehicle forward. Engine power is measured in units of horsepower, or kilowatts. The easiest way to understand this is the unit of power is horsepower. 1 horsepower is informally defined as the amount of power 1 horse gives while pulling. So if your car has 75 horsepower, it has the pulling power of 75 thoroughbreds. More scientifically, 1 horsepower is a measurement of the power needed to raise 550 pounds of 1 foot in 1 second when you're shopping for a new car. The horsepower rating can be an important consideration. Higher horsepower ratings generally indicate a more powerful engine, which can result in improved acceleration speed and overall performance. Torque refers to the amount of rotational force produced by the engine. The torque is determined by 2, the amount of force on the crank pin, and the distance of that force from the center axis. Torque is measured in Newton meters, or pound-foot. Engines in mainstream cars and trucks typically generate 100 to 400 pound-foot of torque. That torque is created by the pistons within an engine as they reciprocate up and down on the engine's crankshaft, causing it to rotate or twist continuously. This torque is then transferred to the vehicle's wheels through the transmission and drivetrain. Horsepower provides a measurement of the engine's overall performance. Torque provides a simple measurement of the maximum twisting force that an engine can generate when worked hard. In general, engines with higher torque provide more immediate power and acceleration, which can be useful for towing or hauling heavy loads. Engines with higher horsepower, on the other hand, can provide more top-end speed and overall power over a longer period of time. Horsepower and torque are related in that one affects the other. Horsepower is calculated from torque, engine speed, and time. The formula for horsepower is torque into RPM divided by 5,252. In this formula, torque is measured in pound-foot, the engine speed is measured in revolutions per minute, and horsepower is expressed in units of horsepower or kilowatts. The constant 5,252 is used to ensure that the units are consistent and that the calculation is accurate. This formula shows that the relationship between horsepower and torque is directly proportional to engine speed. In other words, if you increase the torque and engine speed, the horsepower will increase. On the other hand, if you decrease either the torque or engine speed, the horsepower will decrease. The system that transfers power from the gearbox to the car, axles, is referred to as the drivetrain. This includes the transmission, drive shaft, differential axles, and wheels. There are 4 common types of drivetrains available in today's market, namely front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, and four-wheel drive. Here, all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive are the confusing terms since, in both cases, power is transferred to all 4 wheels. All-wheel drive systems continuously distribute power to all 4 wheels, providing improved traction and stability in all driving conditions. Four-wheel drive systems, on the other hand, typically have a manual or automatic switching system that allows the driver to switch between two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive modes. Four-wheel drive is primarily meant for off-road driving and provides improved traction and power in rough terrain. The chassis is the foundation structure of any car that supports it from underneath. The purpose of the chassis is to bear the car's weight in its idle and dynamic states. The chassis is designed to transfer, absorb, or dampen the different forces generated between the road and the vehicle and ensure contact with the road at all times. The chassis strength and design can impact the car's safety in the event of an accident. The suspension system in a vehicle is a mechanical system that connects the wheels and tires to the car's body and frame. Its purpose is to absorb shocks and vibrations from the road, providing a smooth and comfortable ride while also improving the handling and stability of the vehicle. The suspension system typically consists of springs, shock absorbers, control arms, and anti-roll bars and ball joints. It works by compressing the springs when the wheels encounter bumps or rough surfaces, which allows the shock absorbers to absorb the energy of the shock and dampen the movement of the suspension. There are different types of suspension systems are available. They are independent suspension, live axle suspension, McPherson strut, double wishbone, multi-link air suspension, and leaf spring suspension system. Tire size refers to the dimensions of a tire, including its width, aspect ratio, and diameter. The tire size is indicated on the sidewall of the tire. Usually the size is denoted in this format: tire width in mm aspect ratio and a rim diameter in inches. So, if the size says 245, 55, or 15, this means the tire has a width of 245 millimeters. The aspect ratio of 55 means that 55% of the width is used up as the side wall. 15 rands means the steel or alloy rim has a diameter of 15 inches. Brakes are a crucial component of a vehicle's safety system. They allow the driver to slow down or stop the vehicle by converting the kinetic energy of the moving vehicle into heat energy. Brake types are divided into 2 broad: disc and drum. Disc brakes use a caliper to clamp down on a rotating disc to slow the vehicle. Drum brakes use a set of shoes that expand against the inside of a rotating drum to slow the vehicle. Drum brakes are the basic types that are only found on the lower variants of the C segment and below vehicles only. Over the past 8 to 10 years, the more technologically advanced disc brakes have increasingly taken over their primitive counterparts and should replace them altogether soon. The size of the brake is measured through its diameter. The larger the diameter, the more stopping power you have. When purchasing a vehicle, it's important to consider the type and quality of the brakes. Factors to consider include the stopping power, durability, and noise level of the brakes. Additionally, some vehicles may have advanced braking features such as ABS, EBD, and ESC, which improve braking performance and safety. A vehicle's 0 to 60 time, most often represented as 0 to 60 I, it's a time in which it takes a vehicle to accelerate from a standstill to 60 miles per hour. European cars might use a 0-100 kilometers per hour measurement, which translates to 62 miles per hour. A faster 0 to 60 time indicates that the vehicle has more power and can accelerate more quickly. A vehicle's miles per gallon rating measures how many miles it can travel on 1 gallon of fuel, The higher the MPG rating, the more fuel efficient the vehicle is and the less fuel it will consume over a given distance. This is a popular factor influencing people's decisions to buy cars. If you liked this video on car specifications, you might subscribe us. Enjoy our more videos.